Wow, I want to hear me after that. You guys, Drew and I are dear friends. And I think he likes me to speak with him because our styles could not be more different. If you look at a coin of Andrew, on the back side of the coin, there I am. And so it is a blast to get to come here. I have waited for so long to be with you. You have no idea how many people know about church without religion. You have no idea. You can't know. It's incredible everywhere I go. So what an honor for me to get to be with you today. I'm going to be reading out of Ephesians chapter 4 if you have your Bibles with you. And then I'll set it up from there. Ephesians chapter 4 verses 17 to 24. It says, "So I say this," Paul says, "and I affirm together with the Lord that you walk no longer just as the Gentiles also walk in the futility of their mind." He's comparing believers who have Christ in them with those who do not yet know Jesus. Now they are darkened in their understanding, excluded from the life of God because of the ignorance that's in them, because of the hardness of their heart. And they have become callous, and they've given themselves over to sensuality for the practice of every kind of impurity and greediness. But you didn't learn Christ this way. If indeed you have heard and have been taught of him, just as his truth is in Jesus, that in reference to your former manner of life, lay aside that which has already been laid aside. Lay aside the old self, which is being corrupted in accordance with the lust of deceit. And that you would be renewed in the spirit of your mind and put on that which has already been put on once and for all. Put on the new self, which in the likeness of God has been created, not forensically or judicially, but actually, in righteousness and holiness of the truth. That's who you are. But this passage is saying it's possible to be free and not experience your freedom. And it is possible to be dead to your old life and still engage in it. Crazy, crazy, crazy stat. The recidivism rate for prison, almost every survey that you'll read, is somewhere between 60 to 80%. Is that crazy? The recidivism rate, those coming out of prison and going back into prison, somewhere around 60, some have it at 80%. Why in the world would anyone go back to a place of danger where you don't get to freely choose your daily events, where you can't walk where you want to walk, where you can't drive to the mountains or the beach, where you can see the worst of life, the worst food, the most uncomfortable setting, separated from those you love? And the best answer I can come up with is they've come to believe that it's more scary and dangerous to live in freedom. They haven't learned how to live free. They develop a thinking that is not easily broken, and although they've been declared free by a parole board, free to travel, touch beautiful wildlife, breathe free air with the same rights as anyone else, something in rehab didn't take. They didn't learn how to live in light. The sentence only taught them how to cope in dark. Though horrible, it was familiar. And apparently horrible and doable and familiar is preferable to wonderful, but seemingly impossible. So we look at this and we shake our heads. We have no point of reference. We go, come on, but it's exactly what you and I can do when we try to exchange the clothing of this new life for the patterns of our old dead. Still have it. Isn't it crazy? It's been in my closet for over 35 years. I bought this coat when my girlfriend, high school homecoming queen, she broke up with me in college. And I was at ASU pitching. I was an all-state pitcher, and I blew out my arm. And I left the straight life. And when I left the straight life, I bought this coat. And in this coat, I wandered around the country in an old 1960 VW. 3 cylinders. Devastated in this coat, I did a lot of wrong drugs. In this coat, I gave blood to buy dope. I tried to be intimate with women who were as lost as me. In this coat, I froze half to death hitchhiking from a horse track in the dead of winter. In this coat, I was always trying to figure out who I was, bluffing like I knew. I was so sad. Yes, I'd play act, put on a mask, and laugh hard. Then I was discouraged and defeated, and I was trying desperately to figure out who I was and why I was who I was. In this coat, I actually contemplated leaving the circle. I wandered the desert to Tucson, wanting in the wind to hear a hint of God on my terms, but only hearing wind. I can still feel the anxious striving to be enough that I felt in this coat. I never wear it. It's sat in my closet for 35, almost 40 years. The memories of life in it are too sad. But if this coat represents maybe every time I've chosen to return to that mindset and permissions and despair of that old life, even though I will never be that man in that old life. But if this coat represented every time I've chosen to return to the mindset and permissions and despair of that old life, you would have seen it on me hundreds of times. As recently, maybe as last month. This coat for today represents the permission that we give ourselves when we feel sorry for ourselves, when it doesn't work the way we feel life's working, when we feel we're afraid of not performing well enough, when we get too sad for too long, when enough of our dreams don't come true. And you know what the problem is? The biggest problem of this is that we can't tell when you're wearing the coat. We don't know when you've put it on. You have to be very, very close to be able to tell when I put this coat on again. Maybe my wife Stacy can tell. So that's my old coat, 1974. Over here is my new coat. Well, not so new. It was hip at one time. It really was. But this is my new coat. I bought it at a Christian camp where I was speaking. Oh man, oh man, oh man, man. Oh, do I look good in this coat? In this coat, I held all 3 of my children and rocked them to sleep and carried them to bed. Oh man, in this coat I've preached messages of God's love at camps. I've sat with friends eating in cool old diners and living out the love of Jesus. I've had great coffee in mountain lodges next to my wife. In this coat I cut down a Christmas tree by myself. It's become identified with my new life. I've drunk in the Oregon coast mist watching my kids run along the beach. I've composed and belted out love songs to Jesus in a hidden cove in Lake Powell. You know me. If you know me, you trust me best in this coat. It feels so right when it's on. It's soft, it's warm, it's durable. It makes me happy even now as I wear it. And so Ephesians 4, 22 through 24 says, in reference to your former manner of life, keep laying aside that ridiculous old self, because it's being corrupted in accordance with the lusts of deceit, and that you would be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and keep allowing yourself to experience what is already true about you, that this is the most real you. Whatever that code is for you. Once and for all, this event that Christ did at the cross will never go back. And he says, keep daily giving yourself the experience of putting that coat on. See, the problem is, that list, it's like it reanimates, even though it's not me, when I give myself permission to it. The crazy list that's in there on that passage, 17 through 19, when I put this on, even now as a believer, the futility of my mind, darkened in my understanding, excluded from experience the life of God, ignorance, hardness of heart, callous, giving myself over permission to sensuality, practice impurity with greediness. It's crazy. It's crazy that this that is no longer me can reanimate. Oh man, when I put this coat on, it's so strange. I can feel it. I can feel its strange comfort still. It's odd, dark comfort. I put it on when an event makes me maybe lose confidence in the new me. Or when I get hurt, it brings me surprising comfort to wear. It gives me the permission, entitlement to not care, to not love. It returns me to a place where I won't be wounded by hope. It creates passionate, wrong responses to defend myself. And when I put it on, I choose to put Jesus out there or up there, and me down here, let down, not cared for, doing this largely alone. The moment I put it on, I start to see differently. You see that deception corrupted with the lust of deceit? My passions get corrupted and weird and deceived. Isn't that crazy? A person who loves Jesus, who has Christ in their heart, who understands these truths of identity, I can still wear this coat. So it's going to happen again. Something's going to happen. I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to get let down, disappointed, demeaned, frightened, not feeling enough, feeling like nothing's changing. And I'm going to, again, be tempted to believe that it didn't take this new life, this spirit in me, this Christ in John. Something about me and my shame says, no, not you, John. You don't quite get to live this. It didn't quite fully take in you. And I'll go inside and I'll fester and I'll feel alone and I'll imagine God's out there or over there or up there and my sin's between us. And I'll feel naked. And so I'll reach for the coat. Because I am terrified of feeling naked. You guys, this is the art of living. For we who understand these truths, to choose to believe that this is true about you, that you are righteous and holy and not condemned and not judged and fully enough right now. This is my position. This is what we mean by believing our identity. It's just not a theological game. It's this powerful. It's this real. How do I deal with this? How do I best understand who I am? I have to. I put on this coat and keep it on by believing that it's already on me. That it's already been on me, that it never left me. Even in those days when I still came back to this was always here and it will always be here. Jesus in me, around me, over me, through me, beside me, indwelling me, deeply in love with me. Oh, deeply in love with me. I am his favorite. You can be second and third if you'd like. Deeply in love with me, empowering me, defining me, defending me, protecting me, caring for me. I am Galatians 2:20. And every single one of you in here. This is you. I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer the old John who lives. But Christ now lives fused inside me. And the life I live now, I live by faith, by trusting that this is true, that trusting that the Son of God lives in me and that he loved me and gave himself up for me. And the result is I wear this new coat. This is the art of living. This is the present and glory and wonder of the cross that excluded, vain, darkened, ignorant, callous sensuality, driven, impure, greedy ones, but to be made totally clean once and for all, alive and pure and beautiful, and love inhabited, and righteous and holy. Now, why is it such a big deal? Why is this such a big deal? Because I can be fully free and choose to not experience freedom. Because I can be fully filled with God and not experience it. Because my old coat remains nearby. One disappointment away. This isn't 6 months or 3 years. This could be tomorrow. And because the old coat has nostalgic familiarity and a kind of twisted comfort to it. So, how do I learn to trust this new life in me so I don't come back to this as often? So this will just hang in my closet. Well, you're righteous and holy, but you're not really yet very mature. At least I'm not. To mature, I must believe these truths and then live them out in daily life under pressure, in temptation, when things go wrong. I must, verse 23 says, I've got to allow my thinking to be retaught. It says the renewing of my mind, that you would be renewed in the spirit of your mind, that every single day, 2 Corinthians 4:16, he's renewing me over and over again while I'm sleeping, when you don't feel like you deserve it, when you feel like you failed, you're so wrong. He's renewing your mind. These are the most natural thoughts for you to be feeling as the renewing of your mind and the spirit. It's who you are. A huge part of maturity is learning to be able to recognize when I've taken off my new coat and put on old one, or to have friendships that are so close in a community that you are known in, that they can recognize and that you would give them permission to tell you when they see this coat on. What a gift this beautiful community is, because you are learning to be that kind of a place where you say, will you tell me when you see me in this? And friends know you so well. Galatians 6:2. Bear one another's burdens. Literally, lift up the other. And when you do that, you fulfill the one thing that's been asked of you. Love one another. I so need people who know me so well and are so trusted by me that I can tell them, please, when you see it, tell me. And I have some. Well, I'm going to have to give up the dead theology that there's something that I can do straining hard to get more of Jesus Christ, I'm going to have to give that up, because that sends me to that code. And I'm going to have to give up the lie that I'm not actually righteous and holy, that I'm a saved sinner somehow. That ship has sailed. And to believe it frees you from that code. Righteousness. Isn't that astounding? I use this passage so often to talk about righteousness because it's not something out there that someday with enough perseverance you may get a bit of. Righteousness is not just something Jesus has that you only get judicially or forensically. Righteousness has been the righteousness of God. It's not just a robe that you wear. It's been created in you as a gift. And it cannot and it will not be taken from you. You are actually righteous. Righteousness means to be upright and not crooked, to be morally right. Holy carries the idea of being set apart from corruption, to be morally pure. So, I must be taught. This is what Andrew does every single week, and Zach, every single week. I must be taught to try on my new identity till it no longer just becomes a theological assent, but it actually becomes something I will risk to be true on my worst day. I must continually surround myself with those who will remind me. I've got to learn to see the Scriptures with grace-conditioned eyes. I can't look at this book anymore through a filter or moralism lens, or a fear lens, or a shame lens. I take the lens off and see that it is a gospel of grace. I must keep returning to the cross to see that it purchased once and for all an ongoing righteousness and holiness that protects me when I fail. It protects me from shame. It protects me in my hurt and in my guilt. All right, it's time. I'm going to ask you to do something. In a second, I'm going to ask you to stand up. We have put on your seats the new coat for each of you. A couple missing over there, but all the rest of you have on your seat your new coats. And for those of you at home, we've arranged for that too. It's been a lot of work, but we have. What I want you to do is stand up. Would you grab the coat behind you from your seat? And I want you to put it on, just like this. Go ahead, all of you. Play with me here. Now, don't get it all on at once. You put on both sleeves. You can hurt yourself. One sleeve at a time. Go ahead. Ow, ow, ow. There's no need to bump into that person. Please. Okay? Slowly. If you want, you can button it up. Yeah. That's a good idea in the summer months. Just button up a little bit. All right. Stay there. Breathe it in for a second, will you? This thing that has actually been true about you are now choosing to say it's true. And as you have it on, you get to put your hands deep in your pockets if you want. And see yourself, see Jesus looking at you now and enjoying the real you. Delighting in the real you, smiling, full smile at the real you. See Jesus absolutely, completely comfortable around you. See Jesus standing with you when you have failed to restore you. He's not mad, he's not angry, he's not set off, he's not disgusted, ever. See Jesus clapping his hands together and shouting a hoot when you risk believing your true identity and you put on that which is already on. see Jesus loving you to the exact extent that his Father is loving him. It sounds crazy, but it's true. To the exact extent Jesus says that my Father loves me, so also I love you. And you. And you. And you. And you. And you. All of us. See Jesus standing against every accusation brought against you in the moments of your worst failure. See Jesus with his arm around you, looking at your stuff, your failure together, refusing to allow it to continue to harm you, and never getting it between the two of you, and refusing ever for it to define you. Ever to define you. See Jesus in you, around you, over you, through you, part of you, beside you, indwelling you, empowering you, defining you. Now for a second, we have to do this part. Look at each other in your new coat. Look around. Just look across the... And if you're someone else, go. Look at the other and go, hello. Yo. Honestly, and it's okay to do this a little bit. Kind of saunter a little bit if you like. You guys have to be the ones to tell each other, I see it. I see this new life in your kid. It's working. That's what we're here for. That's what love looks like with each other. I can see it in you. Gosh, I hope you can see it in me. You don't ever have to put this coat on again. You may. It's all right. Just take it off, put this one on, but you never have to believe again that anything you can ever do can take that coat off. You may choose to not believe it, that it's on you, but you remain Christ fully in you on your very worst day. It is tired. It is time. It is time to be weary enough of ever doubting that again. And by the way, you look incredible. At home, you look incredible. Father God, how can this be? How did you do it? You actually fused yourself with me. Not as a word game, not as anything objective, but actual, real, true. It's who I am, and every single day you're making me more of it. Oh, Father, let this sit in my closet. For every one of them, just let it sit in their closet. Let them throw it away and not have it anymore. I want to be done with this. Too many people need me to be a good man. Too many people need to be able to keep this and remember that I have this coat on for the rest of my days. Jesus Christ, instead of me trying to love you enough, right now I tell you, I receive your love. How beautiful it is. And I pray in the authority of Jesus Christ for all these precious ones. Amen.